Good morning. Today is February the 5th, 2024. We have two news windows today, 9:45 a.m. and 10 a.m. Right now we have a lot of chop in the market, so we're not going to jump head first in this just yet. It looks like we had a lot of chop in the early morning trading also. So we will give this a minute. And then go from there. Let's load our strategies. And get ready. So this is with two contracts, and I don't know how many contracts you're trading. Um, this is a really choppy market right now, and probably won't be smooth until later at best because of the news windows, and it's a Monday. Um, can you see the ATM? Okay, and we will take a look at what I have on the fast chart, 286 Unarenko. And on the slower chart, which is 416 and 32, and that is subject to change, but I'll let you know. Just right now, you'll get cut to pieces if we jump in this. No hurry. Don't worry, Frank. Frank. Although I hear Frank stirring around. Let's see here. So Josh, you're in Southern California, is that correct? Now we're starting to break out. Maybe we'll get some movement here. So what we're going to look at right now, yeah, California's got its challenges. Well, so does America in general, but you guys are leading the pack, I think. All right, let's take a look here. And just see what we get. And I know that Frank told you, but I watch multiple charts. But this is what's, if I only have my laptop and I'm traveling, I only watch these two charts. Okay. I want to see a better pullback than this. This was a decent breakout from this chop, if you see here. We're going to start out conservative. And Frank said you had some challenges with your trading recently, and we need to find some success. Is that right? I was trading up at on a private equity floor back in the 90s, and one of the guys in the room was a good trader, and he's still around. He moved to Miami. He's like, I'm getting out of New York, and the other one was just not honest, and we'll just leave it at that. But I saw a retired airline pilot blow his account 3 times in days. And back then they were scalping for quarters. The market was in different denominations. But 3 different times he put $100,000 in the account and lost it almost immediately. I felt sorry for him, but they kept letting him trade, and he really should have switched to sim. And I highly recommend that. And I've been exactly where you are before. Everyone has been around the world, trained under some terrible people and some great people. It's a mixed box. I don't know if you know Alex Elder, trading for a living, Russian, lives up in New York, triple screen. So you got 3,000 left, and you have funded. You've already, so you've got 6 funded accounts. You're doing something correct. So how did you, it's a challenge to become funded. How did you do that and then lose on the real accounts? And I'm not criticizing you, because trust me, trading is one of the most difficult endeavors you can do. If you got $3,000, right now the leverage is $1,000 on the NQ because of the price action. They've margin. And I know you went over this with Frank yesterday, but that conservatively, that will really not support a full contract. You really should be in the micros, and we build it. And I can't tell you what to do. You know how the law is, and they're very strict on. I'm not a CTA. Okay, you're perfect then. Nice. We really want people, I think, to be successful. Okay. I'm up under a pivot. Now you can see here we're not under a, now let me show you this, because I normally like to delineate these things. We're under a prior, what we call a swing pivot high. And we're up under, this is the fib high for the day. So we want to give this a second. We would have, if the market wasn't choppy, I would have taken this when it broke out right here. But I didn't like this price action. But we should get a lot of opportunities in here. So you got 5 contracts of micros. I tell you what, they trade identical, but I'm gonna, because I'm trading micros, and I think Frank told you that we're doing see how long it takes to double the account again. On hypothetical bias. Oh, right. He did. Okay. Yes, it's got to be. I mean, it's really stupid, and they will come after you. How long have you traded? Did you trade a couple years ago? Because it was like shooting fish in a barrel compared to now. And we're hoping it gets back to that again. And you could trade the ES successfully, and it's much easier to trade, but you never get the price action that you get in the NQ. So you've been trading for 5 months. The general consensus is on the ES and the NQ is that the NQ leads and the ES catches up with the general directional momentum, but it can lag. And I did hear you talking to Frank, because I was down here in the office. I work all the time looking for different setups and different things. So if we look over here, you can see how this is, and it's crazy, but this is generally market maker stuff. They're getting some resistance off of this prior way back here. This was 6:13 in the morning movement. It's still, this looks pretty smooth, but if you look over here at what we call the sticks, but it's wicks. These is still a rough patch. Now, you can control this loss with that stop. Okay, now we're at the daily high fib, and let's see what we get here. And Josh, you can trade, and I mean, we recommend it too. You can trade simulated for a few days if you want, and there's nothing wrong with doing it. What are the oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your question. The triangles are pointing out these wicks, and if we go right here onto the strategy, if we had selected this what's called sticks retrace here, it would take these, and it would also take a scenario like this. So this is called a retrace. So when it actually reverses the bar, this is maintain the momentum and the direction, but this reversed a bar. But when it picked back up, it would have gone back into the trade, either one of those two scenarios here. And the spiral down here would have fired when we got compliance between the bottom and the middle, and it shows right here when these two are together. And it takes a while to learn this. We're getting a lot of resistance here. It did push up into the higher fib. Let's see. Bottom and middle. Okay. Yeah. Frank's a remarkable programmer, and he programmed this. It took us, we've worked for 6 or 7 months solid developing what I had seen over the years and put it into this simulator. And the thing about this simulator, bottom and middle, I'm at 224 for settings. Is that right? 224 on the bar. I'm running a larger bar. I'm running a 2.816 right now. I may it might, if you got to be seeing way more chop than me. Is that right? Right now, so notice this. This is a nice setup, and it's a retrend, but I don't like pushing the fib high for the day. And this is the mid fib for the day, and this is the low fib, which means that's the low fib that's been established at some point during the cycle. And I'm not saying this won't push up, but it's a less higher probability trade. Yeah, no problem on that. The 4 is fast, and I looked at the market, and I do every day, and then I adjusted it. I'm like, well, this is really choppy. We're in a nice uptrend, and that a lot of times this time of the morning, you see that in that it's very slow. And trust me, I don't want to get up at 7, and you at 4 is a nightmare. But we're getting pushes. See, this is push, push, push. But even inside I mean, if you got the 4, if you had the 248 up, you're seeing a lot of chop, even more visible.
So Ben, he's wondering about your Rico size settings.
He knows.
Oh, okay.
You see, but you see, I think he changed it. See, if you look up here, he changed the setting. He had, I think, a 248, but it's chop, but it's moving. So, Josh, on your ATM, and again, I'm not a CTA, and I know that I'll run that in the ground, but I've seen people get murdered that were honestly showing live charts, and legitimate, and we're not doing great, but not losing either. And they got immediately shut down. But if you're running 5 minis, and this is just a supposition, you might consider taking, if you want to split it into two targets, you might use a 3 and a 2. 3 off at the first target and 2 off at the second target, and then break even. Let's push this up again, and then break even at the first target plus 2 ticks. Do you know how to set the ATM? I'm sure you do if you've been fooling with this for 5 months. Uh, yeah, well, these police, they got their own set of rules. They got better rules than the police do. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, yeah, I don't even want to talk politics. Anyway, we're getting a very good pull back here. Now, this is a potential setup. And what I would do here, let me get this off, is I would go in here because we're back down on support or very close to it. And we can put a trio up. And I don't know what all you and Frank talked about, but the market makers magically tend to move the market around the half hour and the hour. And we're right at the half hour. We're 5 minutes or so away. And they can move it either direction, and it's not exactly on the half hour hourly. It's just in the vicinity. Sometimes it's dead on, but you just have to be cautious. If we get let's see, do you know what divergence is, Josh? Have you studied that? Yeah, California. Okay. We've got some good divergence in this counter trend. I take these a lot, but I didn't take it and haven't been taking it lately because of the nature of the market. And we're with this doubling the account of event, we're looking for just trades into the trend and not counter trend. But this would have been a successful trade. When I take counter trends, I love taking them. If you're watching the chart up here, when we're pushing the high fib or we're pushing the low fib down here, they tend to work out. And this was an example. And you notice we're not at the 7:30, the half hour mark, but they started pushing this down. And that just didn't magically happen either. Okay, let's see here. We're on the 200 on the higher time frame, and we're below here. So here, we'll select this. And the reason I'd want to spiral is because I need more confidence, because we're going back up through a lot of the moving averages. And this gives us confluence in more areas. the trio is here. This is a selection up and down. But if we had taken this, we would have taken this right here just on the trio without confluence down here. We would have also won, though, if we added confluence of the spiral very slowly, which would have been nail biting. And we can see the trio up here. But we got a lot of resistance to go through. So it's very comforting to let this bar change to an up bar on our higher time frame and then find an entry on the lower time frame. And the reason is once we establish a trend back on the higher time frame, we have a higher probability of moving. So now we got, we established an uptrend here, and we didn't take these what we call sticks, which is a wick. And now we have a downtrend. And again, we're on the 200. We're pretty much straddling the 89. And we're on the 89 here, which is interesting. And it's just like this. The 89 on the higher time frame is pretty much the 200 on the lower time frame, the faster time frame. The issue we got here is, and I know you notice it, is how slow the market's moving. We're fairly long way away from that 9:45 news window, so the market can get very slow, especially like if it was 8:30 or 8:15 sometimes. You know how the news windows are. It can move very, very slow. But when it's moving like this, that's indicative of, as you know, of lower volume, and you got much higher risk taking this trade. So consider that. We got the spiral selected. I'm going to clear this. So if you hit clear, anything you have selected, and you can select multiple things at one time. That's why this removes a lot of your anxiety, because whatever fires, the slate will be cleared with everything else. So it will anticipate a trade and enter. And Frank might have mentioned this to you, but the way the limit works is first in, first filled. So you get in line, and we almost always get a fill at +1 that we have selected. And if you notice, there's a 3-tick, 2-tick spread on the market right now, which means there's not a lot of volume. They've widened the spread, and it can get huge. This is not conducive to taking a trade, and I don't want to just trade to trade. This looks amazing, and you can see the, as you pointed out, the triangles. But this is very slow, and there's still a lot. And you had the 248 on, which we might have to go to. So we're not married to any bar setting. We predicated on what the market's doing. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, it psychologically, if you're running too many contracts, um, it'll change your trading style and it won't train it to change it for the better. If you've been trading the NQ, did you trade the ES at one time, Josh? Yes. Everybody, it's human nature. Um, so I don't know if you might have answered me. Now we're getting a move back up on the smaller time frame. And you can see here we got a prior swing pivot high. And if we go in, let's try this again. Or I'm going to try it again. I don't mean to lecture you what to do. The market makers need it to move also. Um, so I always feel so comfortable because I don't have to touch it. And if it hits that first target and moves to break even +2, there's a lot of comfort in that. Now, this is a tight stop, a very tight stop for the NQ. You can see we're having trouble with the pivot. It's giving us resistance. Let me move it to where you can see it better. Maybe that's better. But what we like to do is set our ATM where possible to where we're not losing twice as much as our targets, because that's then you have to make more than 2 trades to break even, and we don't like that. So here we feel comfortable. We'd like to hit that second target though. And sometimes, Josh, when the market's slow like this, I'll pull that second target down to the first one, or just go ahead and close it, which is prudent even now. Matter of fact, you can also move the stop up. They're gonna it's getting a lot of pushback, but we'll stick and see. So we got that, and you can see over here we got a nice profit. Okay, I I like my setting, but it's just my setting, and I change it all the time. You need help changing it? I know. Frank, are you still here? Frank may be.
Yeah, no, I'm still here. What's the question?
Uh, I was wondering. Hold on, let me check the ATM name.
Yeah, he's got that configuration. He's got the ATM created. I'm not sure what his settings were though. I think they were actually pretty small. I don't remember.
Well, I gave him what I had, and
Okay.
it just worked flawlessly. So again, we got a double top coming up here, and you see it over here, and it's the high fib. And we'll see how that handles that. And not only do we have a high fib, but I'm watching the other market maker pivots on another chart, and it's just a little bit above that. So we got double resistance up. Uh, I know I probably won't. Let me look, and I will look. I don't normally like to go short counter trend unless I've got significant divergence. Um, and I'm really gonna stick with trend trades because I want to double this account that we're gonna premiere as quick as possible. I really and you can ask Frank, I've used to be a gunslinger too. I loved just the action, and I like making money better than giving it all back. Making a ton and giving it back is painful. Honestly, more painful maybe than just losing a trade. Trading really is, and I learned this from Alex Elder, and he's a psychiatrist, he's a physician, and a brilliant guy, brilliant. And he says that trading is basically 90% psychology, 5% money management, and 5% system. He calls it the 3 M's, which is method, excuse me, and mind, and money. And I don't know that I ever incorporated. It took me a while to incorporate that into my thought process. So we got a reversal back to the upside, but I won't take this because there's not enough room to trigger or target, and I'm not going to just take it. If you're asking me, yes, if you're asking me if there was enough room before the target for the resistance, I can show you what that is. I mean, that's 11 ticks, and it hasn't even triggered, so we probably only have 5 ticks once it triggers. And it's just no reason to gunsling. I mean, all you really need now, there was $30 I know already down here from me trading last night and working, but it would have been 150. At 2 trades, you got 300. That's $6,000, even sans commissions, or very close. And then you add contracts, and this is just on the two contracts, and we got all day to trade. You're probably wanting to fall asleep. I think a lot of people, and that I saw that in New York, is they trade for exhilaration, and the ones that didn't, we had a couple of guys, young boys there. I mean, the room was full of people, but they traded the spy all the time, and they called them the Spy Brothers. It was two brothers, and they actually traded with the guy that was a good trader, and co-owned the room with the guy that was a terrible trader and a charlatan. But they won every day. Now they didn't win big, but they won every day, and they'd win $200 or $300, $400, but they won. If they ever lost, they never acknowledged it. But they were conservative. They didn't over leverage their account. And you can ask Frank. I tell people all the time, let's just be conservative. Let's just try to ring the cash register and keep it. So you notice how that triggered a ton of people in right here, especially on the trio, and they lost. It's because the market is really up under a lot of resistance and it's super slow. We'll get some action, more action at 8, more than likely. We'll get more people involved. A lot of traders in the the New York market time frame don't want to get up early and trade. But what I've noticed, and it hasn't always been like that, but you get you get some smooth trades early, and it wasn't that way this morning, but even at 6, a lot of times you get good trades. Now here you can just see it was sticking to the 89, and it was be hard to take a trade profitably. And even this trade does not qualify. It's a counter trend, and it did work, but you would have gotten probably just the first target. But Monday, Friday are the more difficult days. That's when we like to get in early. We got 14 minutes. So right now, even on our higher time frame, you can see we got, prior resistance. We got the 89, we got the 200. So this is totally a counter trend, even on the higher time frame, to an uptrend. So did you actually get out of that first trade with a profit, or no, because of your ATM setting? Yeah, it could shoot. It's going to go one way or the other for sure on the open. And I don't know if you're talking about the 8 or 930. Um, what which 930? Yes, but I always try to give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so on the open. And today we probably won't trade it because we got 9:45 news, and they're going to widen the spread big, and you're going to be looking at, I believe, as usual, you'll look at choppiness, and you got a 10 o'clock window. So we might look at after 10. So the reason, and you know this, but the London session is basically the second largest session, and they square their positions, and they a lot of times they start around 10, and by 11 they're finishing up, um, squaring their positions off, especially the ones that are taking overnight trades, swings. Let me see. Get the chat back down. Yes, it is. Good. Nice that you notice that. Squaring position means they close. They close. Then they may be long and want to stay short, on the overnight session for them. So we're back on that R1 market maker pivot. And you saw it kind of trying to jump up. It sits about right here. But we're on our 200, so they're almost overlay on each other, which is ironic. It's just like one creates the other. You probably answered me, but did you were you in the profit on that first trade? Yeah, you got out with a profit. Nice. Okay, you had something else there. And I apologize. I really focus on the markets, and I really want to get all your messages, but I miss them sometimes. Okay, you notice how we're pushing up, pushing up. The 200 is what we basically call a delineation in the sand. You don't want to, like, this look like a short, and people more than likely jumped in it, but you don't want to short straddling the 200, and you don't want to go long. Now this, uh, you could actually take a spiral here. There's enough room. More than enough room. We don't like the market action right now. Also, Josh, if you select, excuse me, if you select rider up, that tends to let you clear a lot of the choppiness and get into, it's measuring momentum up or momentum down, and can help facilitate moving out of an issue like right here where we're straddling the 89 and we got the 21 also flat going across. We like to take flares like right here where it flared. Now we did take that, but it was starting to flare when we took it, when it broke the swing pivot. But if we'd have gotten a sticks down in here, we would have been way more comfortable, sticks being a wick, jumping back in. And Frank and I normally like to take the first sticks, and you got one right here. You could actually take that trade. And it's probably going to be successful, but it's moving so slowly. We want to wait till we get more participants because we're 8 minutes out from the 8 o'clock. Let's see, let me read your. Uh, and we can't legally, I know you know this, give you suggestions. But I'm conservative. I like to come out winning. So I was right. That was a winning trade, but I didn't take it. And I feel bad about it? No. Because when you get a slow market, you become a potential target. Now, we're not really a target with five minis or micros or two micros. They look, the way the algos work is they look to see where the majority of the stops are. You notice we got to right here, we got to the swing high, and we immediately got a pushback. That was a nice trade. So as I said, we could have gotten in right here by selecting the sticks retrend. Let's see what we got here. Let me look. We would have been in here. 1, 2. Yeah, that would have hit. Let's look. Yeah, we would have hit both targets there. And it's not unusual for me to be done when I get 2 or 3 trades. If they're, running low contracts and you get $300, there's no shame in that. I know you got, it's human nature. Trading is actually against your human nature. Um, People get a high, and I'm guilty of it, of trading, gunslinging. Um, but now it's a business, and you want a business to make a profit. I'm gonna grab a glass of water. I'm gonna clear my throat. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Yeah, you have to understand the game is, and I don't want to make it, you have to be on the side of the market makers. And they like to, they get the spread, but they also create bigger spreads, and they also get to hit the stops. So as far as you making a profit, you never go against them, because they can put on 500 contracts immediately and move the market. Now they can't move it dramatically because there are a lot of traders. The NQ is traded around the world on multiple platforms, and that gives you the liquidity, but it also gives you the crazy movement. It's insanely slow right now. And you'll see when this first news window, we're 1 minute away, or less than 1 minute. We're 1 second away, or 10 seconds. Um, but that's, not a major open, but it can give, I usually get a trade out of it. Even now, um, this is some really smooth movement. I mean, there was 3 trades. We only took one, or I did. If you look, um, here, and I couldn't even get, I mean, it took me 15 minutes to get my data loaded this morning for some reason again, because I would have probably taken this trade. And there were other trades in here, and this was at 7 o'clock. So it took me, let's see, we had a counter trend, which we're not taking, but there was good divergence there. And then we took that one. Now we're breaking out, and that's 8 o'clock. They're pushing up. And you're probably right about the 930. The problem with the 930 is it goes in all directions when it opens, so they can it'll hit stops everywhere, up and down. It's just better to just chill and wait for the trades. Now they usually on an open, if it's 8 or 8:30, or they'll take it in one direction before settling on the direction. Like here, they could easily go down. Let's see, I want to check something. So we had divergence here also. It's, to me, it's better if you don't have divergence to just stay away from the counter trend. And when you can win, let's call it 90%, or let's call it mid 80s with the trend, and 70% on the counter trend, it's just better to, it's still potentially profitable, but it's better to stay away from them. And I told you where I like them. Like right here again, we're pushing the high fib. And you'll probably see a trio here because of the way the trio triggers. Let's see if I can. Do you have a business? Do you have a trading plan? Basically, a business plan, Josh? Yeah, you need to really create one, and you actually need to look at it every day. Only you know how much money you, number one, need, or no, or how much money you want every day, and that's two different, selections, of course. But it's really good to have an objective and honestly achieve it. This is my sole revenue or lack thereof. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, you need to, I can't tell you what you need to do, but it's best to protect that capital. Excuse me. Be around for years, not weeks or months. 750 a day is very good. So you can achieve, if you get good at it, and just take the select trades. A good goal is $200 a contract on the full NQ and add contracts. So you're looking at building up to 4 contracts. But if I think Frank showed you the calculator yesterday, and if you just be consistent, you can quickly achieve that. But it takes a while to get the emotional side out of it. See, like right now, it's still choppy. Even though this was what we would consider a good potential setup at 748, and it actually triggered at 52, but it was painfully slow. I tell you, when another time frame I like a lot is the 9 o'clock. And again, you have to be not jump in right at 9 o'clock, but you got more volume and you got more movement. So, if you don't mind, could you tell, are you with Apex or Blue Sky? Who are you with your funded accounts? So you got 3 different companies. So for you to be funded, and you met the metrics, right? You had to go in and achieve the goals. So you met the metrics and achieved those accounts, but in your live trading, um, have you lost them and had to regain them, or mostly just have been able to hold on to them? Oh, so you had to pay each time. Okay. All right, we got another setup here. Again, we don't have a lot of room. It's not to say it's not achievable, but it's not. There's probably 10 ticks to the top. You just don't want to take it. And it's not strong. And we're in a downtrend. So even here, if we look over on the higher time frame, and in a downtrend, but then we got this bar up at 753. We felt more comfortable jumping in on one of the sticks once that bar completed and changed the downtrend on the higher time frame to up. So let me ask you this, and I know you know this, like Apex never really gives you a live account. They're paying the winnings from people that lose. But I know, and I'm not recommending to anyone, but I know that Blue Sky, actually, you trade a live account and they take profit from it and you still get the majority of it. But it's real profit. It's trading a real account. So, and I'm not, because I know Apex paid somebody $1 million that actually won that. So they are paying, but it has kind of a Ponzi feel to it because there's no real money. I know this is, and I know you've probably studied this too, but the people I've seen that are successful at it, they go for very small winning. They'll go for $200 total, but they have 10 accounts. That's $2,000. Or they'll go for $100 and they got $1,000, which is, $250,000 a year minus um, commissions. How you just well see the presentation from advertisements are that it's a no-brainer and everybody's going to make a fortune. All they got to do is put a few hundred or a few $1,000s in, and that's about as far from the truth as you could possibly get. It's certainly a misnomer. It yeah. Yes. I normally it's usually the markets with the volatility. I honestly usually don't have time to check, and Frank is usually doing more talking than me. Matter of fact, that first trade, I put it on in the simulated, and it moved before I got to put it on in my own live account. You can get it back if you do um, proper money management. Have logical. It's better to have really conservative targets to start with because psychologically you've taken a terrible hit and you want to get your mind back to the approach that you're going to win, and you're going to win by being smart, not by gunslinging. Even the Billy the Kid got killed. You know what I mean? So the best gunslingers, it's like when you take probability, math is stronger than your volition of thought. And all it's got to do is catch you once. And that's going to be our whole approach. I know you can see this, but so the 8 o'clock window opened and it's garbage. I want to get a couple of more trades, but I don't want to get in this chop. Now let's see. Yeah, I mean, was a strong move up. It was slow with a lot of noise, but it ended up trending long. I wish that I understand the CTA thing, and they're very protective of it, and I understand that. But I wish they would let you, I don't know how to put this politically, but give more direct advice to help people if you really want to help them. This trade, you know, looks good, but we got all this, and our higher time frame is trying to make a pivot, but we got a long tail, but it's still theoretically in a downtrend, and got to push up through this and then hit the daily high fib. And I pull this up here. I'm gonna just delete this because it's meaningless. I just pushed it up out of the way. I mean, we can see how easy it would have been to be lured into this and already stopped out. But if we look over here, we would have just said no. And we look here, we realize there's no directional fortitude at this point. So 830 is generally way more volume than these other three time frames, the 730, 8. But and it's a while, from 8:30 is still an hour and 15 minutes before before the news window, and then another 15 minutes later. The odds are really high we're not going to get a trade in the 9:30. And we'll look at the spread, but it's probably going to be ugly. So we got a downtrend. Again, we've got the 89 and then the 200, and those are two major moving averages. Let's look at 753. Frank and I are also looking at incorporating some other instruments, probably oil. Oil was untradeable during COVID. Nobody was driving. I mean, the government locked people like jail in their home in many states, and it did not move. It was totally untradeable, other than the hedging that the airlines and the bigger users did. But that was professional, and it wasn't trading. It was positional. Yeah, It's actually taken the place of the ES. The ES was really good to trade. Because there was so many participants and it doesn't move. There's more gunslingers, I guess, in the NQ. And, you know, the ES is based on 500 stocks and it tracks that. So but most of the movement is within 5 stocks. You know, when you got Apple and Amazon and, you know, Tesla, the bigger stocks, but still you're cushioned by the other 400 plus stocks. But it's chopped. It usually runs in a channel, and we don't want to. If it starts moving again and moves for a while, we'll consider it. But I really want to stay with what's even this. I mean, this is not moving. It's not even directional, really. I mean, you look at we got a channel here. What I like to do, and Frank will tell you I do this all the time, is when I get stuck in something to keep me from screwing up, I'll do something like that. Now this is, you know, probably broken out, but I create a box, a rectangle, and I want to see it, you know, break out. I'm going to take that one off too. So that's, you know, 20 minutes of getting chewed alive. Let's see. This was a good counter trend because of the divergence was huge. It's wanting to break out to the bottom, but yeah, it's going to come down. Ironically, if you put a 600 EMA on the chart, it will mimic the 200 EMA within reason on the higher chart, and we're coming right back down on top of the 600 right now. Let's see if it holds or it starts pushing back up. Let's actually go over and look at the higher time frame. So here it is in reality. We're 9 minutes away from the 8:30 time frame. I'm not. I hate chop. As a matter of fact, I've been super conservative today because it's a Monday. You're in the room, and we're going to do the doubling the account, which will be this chart simulated because we're not. And I trade it live, but we're not allowed to show it. And I've seen people caught doing good and not losing and still getting fined huge amount. So the two fibs, Josh, and actually three, but the two fibs that really tend to reverse the market, give you a hard time, is 382, the 618, and the mid fib right here. The other ones affect you, no doubt, but these can really hurt you, and it's because commercials, whether it be the banks or the big large, a lot of guys use hedge with futures. They key on those, and it's really easy to lock. When you know that you're going to have participation, to reverse the market up, say right here, and hit a stop. Same thing here, or up or down. We got 7 minutes. So that was the first. Let's see, right here was you got sticks. This was the first, second, third sticks. It won, but you wouldn't want to take that and come down through the 89 and now the 200. You could have taken a trio here, or you could have taken a rider here. So we can probably get a little more aggressive because we've been letting some trades slide and just cherry picking too much. But notice this, Josh, right here. You remember I told you the 382? Look what it's done. It would have stopped everyone out unless they had a huge stop. I mean, because we have a 16 bar, and it popped off of here and it's gone 20 plus, probably 23 or 4. And it routinely does that. This fib we picked is, excuse me, this bar size we picked was probably dead on today, because the 4 would have given a ton of noise. So this setup would be sticks retrace, and then this is a retrace. The sticks was here. You would have lost if you took that, but we usually only like to take the first one. And if we take the second one, it would have been in here and not way down here, because at this point, you're looking at a trend reversal. And we had the 382 fib. The problem with trading is you have to watch all these things. You got 4 or 5 charts. Yeah, that'll save you the higher time frame. Alex Elder taught, he created or invented the 3 charts, the 3 time frames. And many people copy it, and a lot of people even take credit for it, but he actually did it. Normally you want to double. So if we got an 8, you want a 16. And I like it to be smoother, but a lot of people will put an 18, or say a 16 with an 8 tick trigger on the bar. But it creates a lot of chop. I like it more smooth, so because I can gain more information. Now this is coming down on a swing pivot and the fib, and it could very well work out for the 12, and it did. I think it did. Let's see. It's not even quite there. Even with slippage, it probably needs to go another 2 or 3 bars, and that was not enough room for that. Um, it's close. This is what I do, Josh, when let's say I had taken this trade and I would not, and I see my first target's up under here, I will move it up above here, and just to get a profitable trade and not potentially get a bounce. And it doesn't mean it won't go through here, but it's pushing, which it did. But it's not worth the risk, because once they reverse it, they'll push it up high. We got 1 minute or less. We got about 40 seconds. And honestly, Josh, I'm probably being too conservative. I will be more aggressive more than tomorrow. But I didn't want to drag you into something. And we could, the good thing is the way we got our stop set, even if we get hit, we're back even and can quickly find another trade. But the big stops hurt you. Okay, now we're on the market maker pivot, and you can see it pushing up, right? It's dead on it. 17,705, which is right here. Now it's trying to cut back through it, but it would have hit multiple stops. And we got a sticks. So if you got 3 grand in your account, I think is what you said. And this is the good thing. And if you look at the calculator and you can double it, you're still at 6. But from 6 to 12 to 24, which almost puts you back even. Once you got your plan down and you're going for, you want to go for objectives that you can achieve on, goals, whether that's $100 a contract or 200, and 200 is achievable. So you see and it didn't even get there, but the mid fib and the market maker pivot almost overlay, not quite, gave the market fits, and that would have stopped most people out. That's a big stop. But even though it looked difficult, it broke through it, and it did bounce some, but it pushed through it. You're probably tired of hearing me talking to you. That's I'm telling you, Josh, I've seen this and I've watched people that actually are successful. They show you their results, and they do exactly that. And a lot of them go for $100, and they go for very small bites to even get the $100, and then it goes across 8 and 10 accounts. And and I know you know this because you've done it, but there's different denominations. I mean, it's like most of them I've seen are 25,000, 50,000, and 100,000. Um, denomination. But if you can trade one account and drive 5 accounts or 10 accounts, and you do that like you're talking about doing, and they also don't pull money out. The guys that I see successful, they build a base. So when they do get into a drawdown, and you get into a drawdown sometimes, I don't care how good you are. You can take trades that are perfect setups and they fail. And they fail because you got competitors driving the market with big lot sizes. You got 50,000 with Top Step. I've seen Top Step. I don't. Did they give you live account to trade, or is it the same thing as Apex, where um, to me the math is it's like Madoff. The math worked in his case because he was paying people out of other people's deposits. Apex is supposedly paying people out of other people's attempts to to earn an account. I know Blue Sky supposedly um, has live accounts and they pay out of profits. But I can't say that I've investigated and know everything about any of them. All right, we got another trade setting up here. Um, we would take this with a trio down. We're at 835. It's still not moving much. We're back on top of the market maker pivot. We're going to get more and more aggressive as the week goes on without taking stupid trades. In other words, they might not work out, but we're not going to take those that are flying in the face of the higher time frame or up under the fibs or the pivots. So we got a sticks, and that sticks was created off of this swing low pivot even before it got there, which is common. That's why there's so many people now that let's say they're in a trade and it's coming down on a fib or it's coming down on resistance. They'll move their target up a good bit off of that because so many people try to pre-run that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Um, and you don't want to turn a winner into a loser. We're on the mid fib. Let's see what we get here. I even thought about it, and I had to talk to Frank. I kind of mentioned it to him um, about the prop funds, about doing something with one that's legitimate to just show people the potential of doing just what we discussed, like going for $100, which takes no time at all. But I got to know that it's legitimate. That's another winner. We're actually getting trades, so we're just a little over an hour away from the news. What's your schedule? You're I hope you went to bed early. Yeah, I did get to bed. Usually I'm working in Frank also to 2 or 3 in the morning, and it's a killer. We're both trying to become dedicated to more logical sleep time. What is SEO agency? Okay. Frank has a good friend. That's what he does, and he's actually pretty wealthy. He does all kinds of stuff, but he says the market's pretty got pretty tough recently, which it was not usual. Yeah, well, use Google advertising. That's pretty expensive. It's You're marketing product. What are you marketing? Residential or commercial construction? Okay. We got another trio setting up. We're still straddling all this action is occurring on the mid fib, up and down. Let's go back over here. All right, I'm gonna focus. Now we can keep chatting. I'm gonna focus more on getting some trades. So the way and the reason we created was the trio is, and it's brilliant, which Frank did it, but it allows you to get in early without confluence, let's say with spiral, which is multiple confirmations, but it allows several bars to let the noise dissipate, and if it doesn't, it won't fire. So to get you in early, because and the reason actually when we first developed it, we were still looking at the ES because it wasn't moving, and if you waited for additional confirmation, you got stopped out. And this got you in early. I mean, like it got you in right here. And you would have waited until here, looking at the move, the fanning of the moving averages. And it got you in right here because they were already fanning. And it got you in right here because they still were in, and all of them were winners. This one, um, you're moving way late in the trend, And I don't think this one would have won, but you really, need to not, take every one, because then you get into the, okay, when the when the market is going to be pushed up hard. And it was pushed up hard here, and you triggered well. But the problem here, if you see it, um, you're already sitting on the swing pivot. Do you have the swing pivots on your chart, by the way? The Ninja indicator? Okay. No, those are automated. If you look at I think it's called the swing. You look for swing. Matter of fact, let's just see. Yeah, it's called swing right here. I bought Ninja. I don't know if you bought it or leased it or do the commission fee increase. I think it's included with all of them, but it might be just part of the purchase, but you can check it and see. I think Frank's got that too, and I think he leases it or paid. I don't think he bought it. Yeah, that would have been a loser, but then again, you don't want to not give it room. I mean, even to the pivot here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 12. But at least you got some momentum and a really good chance of hitting it. It would have been better if it had been, 14. But that pushed through. This same here, this pushed through. But when you sit on a pivot, it doesn't seem to gain momentum a lot of times. Let's take a look at again, we're still dealing with this on the higher time frame. We're looking at the mid fib. That's giving it fits. And now it's pushing up on it. So we're 14 minutes away from, we need to take some more trades, and I need to not talk so much. In general, especially, excuse me, not a Monday, I know these trades are going to probably win, and I would have taken most of them, but I don't want to start off with, I want the mindset that we're going to have a goal and we're going to go from there. Are you running two? You have more than one monitor? You did a sticks? Okay. Nice. VPS. So you've taken 3 sticks. You're doing very nice. And you got that same ATM setting that I had, or you have a different one? That's nice. That makes me proud of you. Um, And what is your stop? See, that is so smart. And let me tell you why. That is the mindset of the guys that are doing funded accounts, trading one. And I assume you got trade copy or you're using their trade copy. Um, okay. So your trade copy is for each platform has trade copy, or you have different ones for each? Okay, I got you. Yes, I've seen that. So let me ask you this. This is just a question. Let's say you took your account up from back to 25 and then to 50,000. Would you still do the prop firms? And why would you not do it? Just because of the questionable nature of prop firms, or just the angst of having to? Yeah, and the rules are set to make you lose, right? You know that. Okay. I don't disagree with that. I do know people that don't mind they've come up with a set of their own rules to keep them from blowing up. But again, they're managing 10 different accounts plus their account. Well, I'm happy. I've been real conservative because of you, and you've been trading and making money. Uh, let's see. My strategy disappeared. Hold on. You took those trades through our strategy or manually? Wow, that is very nice. Frank will be pleased. We got 9 minutes till 9. You're doing a good job, and it takes what it takes. 21 days of doing something consistently to change a habit, but it probably takes more than that. But I, I hate to see people gunslinging. I've done it. I've made giving back. There's probably virtually no one that hasn't done the same thing on some level. Some are worse than others, like that airline pilot I was telling you about. And he was retired. I mean, he lost $300,000 in 2 or 3 weeks, easy. And they didn't care in the room. His name was Hank. I remember his name because I'm a pilot. I love flying, and he's was a pilot. So we were. I think he worked for Northwestern or somebody. Yeah, You're kidding me. Oh, wow. That's too bad. That is too bad. I've seen it. Like the idiot that took the psilocybin mushrooms or some mushroom and tried to kill the engines on the, I think that was Alaskan airline too, wasn't it? Or maybe it was someone else, but I think it was out of Portland or somewhere. And I would say his career is over. He lost his job for that. But really, if you do that, you need to lose your job. I mean, I know that's harsh, but there's a lot of them do that. I don't know if Frank might have mentioned this, but there's a guy, excuse me, came in the room and he's a nice guy, had a job, but I think he was in New York, but he was trading the ES, and I did what I did with you. I put the rectangle. I'm like, because he traded every day, and I was trading the NQ and making money, and he, I mean, a lot, and he said he liked the ES, and I said, well, it's not moving, but it's his choice, and he initially just he killed it, just doing trios, and then it got in a super tight channel. His name was Enoch, and I said, Enoch, this is not tradable. And he took counter trends in a super tight channel, and I don't think he won some, but he didn't win on the day. And I thought, wow, you can't trade an instrument that's not. It's just like you couldn't do the CL in COVID; you'd lose everything you had. But now it's moving real well. Now the margins are high, and they've moved the margins to $1,000 on the NQ. I haven't checked today, but it's probably the same because we got still earnings and news windows. But normally that's $500, but the CL is $1,000. I I think he just was jumping from service to service, and um, I don't know. I think he had the same issue that all of us have when we buy the fib. It's so easy to trade and make a fortune, and yeah, there's no way he could win long term and do what he did. So this was a good trade um, right here, and I saw it, didn't take it. I'm gonna because I really want to because I enjoyed talking to people, but tomorrow I'm gonna focus more on trading. But I'm gonna call every trade. I'm gonna take it first with you here, and then I'll put it in my account. And you you're doing really well. Let me ask you this: when you took those trades, do you have the time you took them? I mean, I'd like to know when you took them. I'm not. I'm way more aggressive with these. These are, if you look, um, and Frank will tell you that if you look right here, I would normally have taken every one of those. This one I wouldn't have because of what I told you. Um, and then when we got into this, I would have put a box on it, and wait until it broke out of the bottom, and I would have put a an order, a couple of ticks or more up under the pivot. You got 1 minute, actually 3 seconds, I believe it is, or a few seconds. That's not right. My clocks aren't aligned, but so we got a minute. No, I'm not worried about doubling the account. It doesn't bother me at all. I know that because my win is so tight, I mean, my stop versus target is so close. I mean, I hit losses and I immediately come back, but I was doing what's recommended, which is twice the stop as the target. And honestly, the market was requiring a bigger stop. But then you got, if you lose, it takes more than two with commissions to come back. So, that is disenchanting for sure. I will probably move. Yes, it's really hard, but you can come back immediately if you have a loss. Just don't be stupid. I'm probably going to move my ATM to probably 10 and 10 and one target, 10 stop, 10 um, stop because of what I'm trying to achieve. And now I know what you're trying to achieve, the exact same thing. Now, if we have tons of people in the room, actually, I can't even say anything I said today because the government will. It's stupid. Did you move it to 1010 or before I said it, you moved it? See, you got some good instincts. Um, you have one target now, right? It might. Uh, I'll probably go, and I'm gonna take the break even, obviously off. So I got 12 and 10, 2. Okay. That's what Frank said. My and anybody can say bullshit, but my instincts are to help people. And I really hate that the business is so corrupt, but you know, I've spent a fortune in 30 years buying stuff. There's way more than one system I've paid over 10 grand for that's junk. And one was decent. Hawkeye, Nigel Hawks, and I know Nigel real well, and and it cost so much because I bought it as he was developing it, and each new indicator would be $1,500 or $2,000, and and it was good at the time because of trending markets. And he did show me his live account. I mean, he was up a half a million, but he was wealthy anyway. But I've bought jump for 10,000, and they knew it didn't work. Um, and it wasn't even just the 10,000 because I had a good career, and I mean, I made money, but I obviously was bored and loved trading. But it was the losses you incur when you trade their systems. It's so unfair. Yep. Well, Frank and I will keep like the trio. Ironically, and I know some decent traders that that their stuff is unbelievably difficult to learn, but it works if you can remember 50 rules for every trade, and it's literally pages and pages. But the trio just incredibly enters exactly when one of their systems trades, but with so many rules, and it incorporates those rules for the same reason. They actually wait until the noise is shaken out and enter. But they have like 8 moving averages. And this one just coincidentally, the way it was designed, works. Yes. Well, there's money in it if you get enough subscribers. Um, you can make a lot of money. I mean, I honestly just like trading. I do like helping people, but Mark Douglas was, bless his soul, he passed away, but he's a genius about his concept of trading the market. I mean, and it's based on just what we just talked about with probabilities and risk control. He's got good books too. Yeah, Mark is was a genius, and he blew his. He was like a guy, like a lot of us, like you talked about yourself. He was in insurance. I think I can't remember where he was, but he moved. He decided he made a lot of money in insurance, and he was talking about, oh, I had my 911 and beautiful girlfriend and blah 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 blah. And he read the advertisements, and it's like, well, I'm gonna do this. And he was a millionaire. He had an agency, and he moved to Chicago and lost every dime. And he talks about how painful it was when the wrecker came and pulled his 911 out of the yard. But to his credit, he actually became methodical, created rules, and became extremely wealthy. But he had a problem that he loved to eat too much, and he died pretty young. But he did a lot. He's got one called Trading in the Zone. That was his first one. Is genius, and then Disciplined Trader. And I know both of them are. I think that you can get them for free with PDFs now, if if you haven't read them. Okay, we have a funky market. So how many wins you have? Four or three or four counting the one I took? Let me look at your chat. I got to pull it up. Okay. He does talk about psychology, but he ties his psychology to probability. Three total, counting mine. Okay. So you're having a good day. Okay, so and you don't have to take, and I can't tell you to take any trades, but I will be more aggressive tomorrow. Um, Now I know you're taking trades on your own. I just took another one, by the way, and won. I don't know why that jumped over there. I took that on a live account. We will have more. We're working on other things that Frank is his mother worked for IBM when he was a child. He learned to program when he was a child, and he's actually a prodigy from programming. We had a I met him in a job, and I've been trading all my life mostly, and he worked for the company. He was a programmer, and I was doing sales, and then we just became friends, and we bought multi charts, and that was the guys that wrote TradeStation started their own company. I think when the company sold, they may have been fired. And he did a lot of programming for me. And then multi-chart refused to do Renko, and they just really lost market share. And then Ninja Trader was not even a very good platform, but then they came to the forefront and did extremely well. And then TradingView is trying to catch up and doing probably a pretty good job. But right now it's Ninja Trader, and I don't want to spend thousands of dollars for another platform. I don't want to spend anything, to tell you the truth, because I know it's fruitless to to do it. You know, most of the and there's some good guys. I told you too. I mean, I don't know if Alex still he traded commodities mostly, and I've been to New York, sat there and watched him do his math and in his flat, which was Greenwich Village or somewhere. I mean, um, he traded commodities, and then Nigel traded, the big stocks like Apple and the Hawkeye. And then I won't even tell you the guy's name, but you probably know him. But he's he's in Texas, and I saw the Texas Commerce Department had him as Business Person of the Year a few years back, and just selling courses and junk. Supposedly he made $50 million, and honestly, everything he got, he took from other people. He didn't even develop it. Okay, let me look at something. Joel S. Osteen. That guy is scary to me. I mean, how often does that happen too? I wouldn't take I mean, right now, well, let's look at the higher time frame real quick. I'm not gonna tell you what. See, right now that could work out, and it could very well work out because they're trying to push it. We're close to 9:15 is usually when you get a change. But we got the fib, and we got the 200, and we got the 89. Um, so it's a higher risk. It doesn't mean it won't, especially when the market makers decide they want to push it and it's 9:15. Yeah, they usually are. I mean, it's like, what was that guy's name? Baker, the scam guy back 10 years ago, made millions and millions. And although I've learned not to talk about religion to anyone, I mean, that's their personal preference. But the good thing about that sticks, if you took that last one, is it has not triggered yet. And if it does trigger, it's got additional strength because when you create a tail, if you look at the volume, you got a ton of volume. And if that volume turns to the upside, you got a much higher probability that that volume is going to push it. See, they're pushing it. There it goes. So did you get triggered in on that? Good for you. You don't need me. Maybe I need you. But you see, our system works. You're sitting there doing it and you did it on your own. You're more, I don't want you to be too aggressive, but um, I'm usually aggressive, but only on highly. I wouldn't have taken that trade, even though I understood if it broke through, and I told you that it was going to, there's so much volume underneath that they're going to push it through. And they did. We're going to make you a super trader. Oh, there we go again. As I said, it's the 950 ish, 15 ish, and they push it. And they normally push it in an opposite direction. I want to help you double your account several times and not be put in jail for doing it. A caveat, for whatever reason, and I think it's Ninja, a lot of times if you change the ATM, you have to unengage and re-engage or actually even reselect the strategies to incorporate that new ATM setting. And it's not always. I don't know why. It's probably some quirk that they have. Um, it's like this morning, and I've been having a fit getting on, and then Frank had me undo my VPN, which I go to Europe, I mean Asia a lot, um, and we'll move there and do this from there, including the room. But hold on one second. Got another sticks. I wouldn't take this personally, even though it's probably going to be successful because it's so far up the trend. But that's just a rule that we found out because we never know when it's like it's, if you look at the higher time frame, we're still straddling multiple moving averages, fibs. We're not close to a market maker pivot, but oh, lost. I'm focusing on what I should be and forgot my train of thought. But I like to, let's say, to start randomly. I've got a girlfriend there, um, and I love Thailand and Philippines, but I love Thailand. I'm and I love my country. Don't get me wrong, but I'm extremely disenchanted with the way things are going. And I certainly don't want to talk politics, but I'm disenchanted. Yes, Indonesia's right there. Um, I've not been, but I'll go and then go to Singapore. A guy I followed for years, Jimmy Rogers, he and Buffett and Soros were together with Quantum Fund, and they're three geniuses, three billionaires. And I don't know why Soros decided he wanted to use his billions to destroy the country, and that's as political as I'm gonna get. But he has done a pretty good job of it. Um, yeah, he's terrible. Bali, I think Bali's incredible, but I hear it's Monsanto. Yep. Of course, Monsanto's owned by Bayer now, and they're having to deal with the consequences of the poisons. Oh, well, Oregon's not far behind. Um, they're beautiful places. I used to go to Seattle, Washington every weekend for a company I worked for, Certainty, which was a glass company. But it was a different world. But it was far left even back then. Like a lot of people were touting, communism and blah blah. Yeah, I got friends and I met actually in Thailand, from New Zealand, and he was married to a Thai girl that went to study, and boy, she was beautiful. And they have a kid, but he was lamenting that the California dream, which is now crazy, has swept into New Zealand, and he's right, and it's crazy. Um, I'm liberal minded as far as I don't get into people's all this crazy stuff. Oh, this person's gay, we need to kill him. That's so stupid. But we've gone to such extremes. Yeah, New Zealand's is incredible. But I've been reading that, and also in Australia also. Um, I just think people need to be careful what they wish for. How old is your child? Oh wow, I love kids. I mean, I got three smart grandkids. I mean, they're absolute genius, especially two of them, just like off the charts, and work hard. Well, one of them's a baby. little girl is 6, but my grandsons are educated and grown, and actually they've taught themselves to trade and did an incredible job. If you remember that crap with the theater, you remember where the billionaires were shorting it and everybody was buying it, and they actually made a fortune with that thing. Okay. No, not Netflix. It was the movie theater. Remember they were shorting it, and I can't remember the company's name because I'm got too many things going on. Now we've gotten into chop. You can't even see it on that chart, but I see it on another. Yeah, your kids, they're in a different world. You guys are taxed so heavily. It's like, man, you're doing. Uh, Frank will be so pleased. Um, I will bump it up now that I know that you're not going to do anything crazy. So we're going to be more aggressive, but still very methodical. Um, that you dropped the ATM made me happy. Let me see. Let me reload the ATM. So we got 5 minutes until the open, but I think it's starting to incorporate the choppiness because of the news window. I would say we just leave it right here today because with those two news windows, it's high risk. I mean, you can trade. You obviously, I'm not telling you not to trade because you obviously know a lot on your own, but you can look at all these sticks and see the noise that's incorporated here. Yes, don't give it back, and I've done that, and that's the worst feeling in the world. I'm gonna help you. You can do it with my trading was too easy for the last. Matter of fact, there was a company, and again, it was like I don't even know how I got hooked up with, but it was $12,000 to join. Excuse me, and trading the ES, and I was already doing my own thing, and we made so much money. But they had stupid stuff like they'd have a $1,500 target and a $6,000 stop. So you almost never got hit, and you won and won and won until the market changed. Um, and then they just imploded. Um, and that's when I told Frank, I'm like, we're going to do our own thing. I'm like, these guys are cheating people out of all this money, and it's not even true. It's true when the market was trending like crazy and it never got, um, not never hit the stop. I had all these ideas and traded them for years, and it just worked and worked and worked. But Frank pushed me to do this. Honestly, to tell you the truth, he won't like this, so he knows it. I didn't want to do this. I just love to trade. But he convinced me. He's been asking me to do this for years, and I said, "All right, but you got to program all my indicators." And it took him 6 months, and he's because we had to do things like that. Strategy took forever. It was so complex, and he keeps improving it. I we can't get too big. I mean, you can probably I've been in rooms that had 1,000 plus people, and they'd require you to do webinars that were $2,000 or $3,000, and you could. And back then, Zoom only accommodated maybe still 1,000 participants, and you would pay, and if you didn't get up at 6 a.m. for a 9 a.m. webinar, you never got into it. And he would send you the disc, but back the DVDs back now he just does downloads. But that's not tenable for new traders. No matter what the outcome, I can tell you we honestly both, and I told Frank this up front. I said, I'm not for look at the market moving. Don't trade it. Um, it's just gonna be crazy. I want people to make money, and I don't want to be known as a cheat. And yeah, don't. Um, and that guy I told you when I was up in New York was the worst trader. He couldn't even make a profit, and he made matter of fact, he and his partner was legitimate, and it was kind of a feminist thing, but they both bought matching Rolls Royces and both bought matching Ferraris. They made so much money from that room, and one of them was legitimate, and I met some good people there, but they generally lost. Not the one, but he would still make. And he was already wealthy. His family was wealthy, but he'd make $200 on the day. I mean, for months, because he just liked it and he was real conservative. But the other guy, he lost every time he traded. All right, we're gonna end here. Uh, I hear Frank on the phone up there. He's probably no telling what he's doing. I think he left us. I'm gonna be meeting you at the same time tomorrow. Okay? Can you get up and be here at 7? All right. If I don't know why, but a ton of people are having problems logging on with the data, and Frank had it where I, excuse me, wasn't, but it took me a good 15 minutes. I logged on 20 or 30 times. We also have another data free feed we need to get because it was free because we are a Ninja Trader client for our software. So I'm gonna have to get that one up too, which is Kinetic. Oh, you got the prop for you have to use their platform though, right? Yeah. Yeah, Ninja. Okay, Josh, you did terrifically well. Um, I'm so happy. I was honestly, to be quite frank, I was being ridiculously conservative. Um, we're going to step it up, but just be prepared, okay? Take care, my friend. You did great. You did better than me, and I was trying to protect you. So we'll go from there.